With 5 novels, 3 novellas, a companion book, and a TV series watched by tens of millions of people, Game of Thrones / A Song of Ice and Fire spawns a lot of discussion. George R.R. Martin has created this wonderfully deep and rich world of fantasy that's full of tiny little clues and suggestions, and as such, that combined with a rabid fan base, hello everybody, there are all manner of little fan theories. R plus L equals J was obviously the most famous of these, but go beyond the parentage of Ned Stark's bastard and there are just so many beautiful little things to get your teeth into. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com and these are 6 lesser known Game of Thrones fan theories that might actually be true. Or, to put it another way, strap yourself in because it's time for another fistful of Cleary's theories.
Number 6. Lem Lemoncloak was Rhaegar's squire. Lem Lemoncloak never made much impact on TV, but he has a bigger role in the books as a key member of the Brotherhood without banners. But his importance may run far, far deeper than that. Rhaegar Targaryen had a squire by the name of Richard Lonmouth, who was among the close companions with him when he, air quotes, kidnapped Lyanna. Of those, it's only Lonmouth's fate that is left unknown, and coincidentally, we know nothing of Lem's backstory. When Lem meets the ghost of High Heart, both reference kisses, lemons, bones. The lemon part is obvious, but Lonmouth was the knight of skulls and kisses. We see in the books Lem's performing actions for the Brotherhood based on the choices of others, and the words of House Lonmouth are, "The choice is yours." Lonmouth was also present at the tourney at Harrenhal and endeavoured to discover the identity of the Knight of the Laughing Tree. That means, obviously, that he might know what that is, but more so, could well have knowledge regarding Rhaegar and Lyanna. Number 5. B plus SS equals M. We know only a handful of details of Melisandre's life before she joined Stannis. Raised in Asai, she was sold as a slave, thinks her name was Melanie, and was sold to a Red Temple at a young age. Because of this, she's the subject of a few theories, but the more believable is that she's actually a Targaryen because, well, isn't everyone? Shira, I'm from Newcastle, that's how I say it, Seastar, was the last of King Aegon IV's great bastards. Her mother, Sereni, was said to practice the dark arts to make her appear more youthful, and Shira shared these gifts. Melisandre is of course much older than she looks and uses magic to hide her true appearance. Both were described by George R.R. Martin as great beauties, slender and graceful with heart-shaped faces, and, because he's a boathouse sex case, full breasts. One part of her favourite prophecy that doesn't get mentioned very often is when the red star bleeds and the darkness gathers. Now, Melisandre is obviously known as the Red Woman, but her mother, if this prophecy is true, would have been called Sea Star. That would make Mel herself the Red Star, and her bleeding would herald the arrival of the prince that was promised. Huge if true. Number 4, the Grand Maester Conspiracy. The Grand Maester Conspiracy goes that for centuries the Citadel has been working to eradicate magic from the world. They are, after all, men of science and order, and magic throws all of that into chaos and goes against the natural way of things. Absolutely fair enough, lads. This theory comes directly from the text rather than evidence pieced together. It's the notion of Archmaester Marwyn that Maesters drove dragons from the world and even conspired to send Maester Aemon, a Targaryen, to the wall rather than raising him to Archmaester. It's also believed that Lord Rickard Stark was being manipulated by his own Maester into uniting the other major houses against Aerys II as part of some wider Maester plot to remove the Targaryens from power. The reason being the Targaryens' close link to dragons and thus to magic and thus f*** 'em, to paraphrase the Maesters. Number 3. Tywin was poisoned before his death. Tyrion's murder of Tywin remains one of the greatest death scenes in Game of Thrones, and yet there are theories that suggest it may have not even mattered. Yes, it's a hugely powerful moment for the imp, but Tywin might have been dying anyway, with a theory that he was poisoned by Prince Oberyn. This all stems from his funeral scene when he's described as rotting with greenish skin, sunken eyes, and with white fluid seeping from him. It doesn't fit with death by crossbow, hence even fouler play being at hand. And Oberyn, the Red Viper who also poisoned the mountain, had means, opportunity, and so much motive. By his own admission, he knew more of poisons than almost anyone else and really wanted Tywin dead. Plus, he actually tells Tyrion that your father may not live forever, a line delivered in such a way that it made the hairs on the back of Tyrion's neck stand on end. I mean, it makes sense unless you buy into the idea that it was actually Varys, but that's another story. Number 2. The Tawney at Ashford. The Tawney at Harrenhal gets the most attention, but there was another taking place 72 years earlier that could be rather important too. The Tawney at Ashford Meadow is considered one of the most famous and historically significant events to have taken place. It was held by Lord Ashford to celebrate his daughter's 13th name day. She would have 5 champions, and if a champion was defeated, the victor would become the new champion. Once finished, it would then be decided whether the daughter remained Queen of Love and Beauty or if another claimed the title. The final lineup of champions included Lionel Baratheon, Leo Tyrell, Tybalt Lannister, Humphrey Harding, and Valar Targaryen. In the books, and I'll just get the old chalkboard out for this one, Sansa was betrothed to Joffrey Baratheon. Then there were plans to wed her to Willis Tyrell. Then she finally married Tyrion, but is now betrothed to Harry Harding. Yes, that didn't make it into the show, but it's books, so yes, just stick with me. Assuming this isn't a coincidence, and let's face it, little is in the world of Ice and Fire, then it means Sansa won't end up marrying Harry and will instead have a Targaryen suitor. Technically, and if you watched Ups and Downs, you know exactly how I feel about this could be Jon, and many do theorise that the pair will end up together because, hell, he's already had his auntie, why not his adoptive sister too? Number 1. The White Walkers built the wall. Okay, this one is the most tinfoil of the bunch and thus the most fun, but there has to be more to the White Walkers. Yes, the show revealed they were created by the Children of the Forest, but for the most part we know nothing else about them or their motivations. So, what if it was the White Walkers who built the wall in order to keep out the First Men? And what if after the war had raged they separated themselves from Westeros because they're not wholly the air quotes bad guys of the story? Instead, that is just the history that has been written because the First Men won the war. The wall is 700 foot tall, 300 miles long, and made mostly of ice, and that was supposedly built by men and not the magical creatures on the other side? I mean, yes, there is then the question of the magic that seemingly keeps them from crossing it, but what if the White Walkers built the wall, but the magic was then put on after it by the Children of the Forest? Martin has said in an interview that it was man-made, but, well, the White Walkers began as man, so, yeah, admittedly it's got some holes in this one, but I like it.
Well, would you look at that? You got all the way to the end of the video and your mother said you'd amount to nothing. What are the chances? While you're here, why not watch one of our other many, possibly quite good channels, or watch another video which will be largely in the same vein as the quality content you've just endured. Go on then.